Hi, this is Ed in San Diego, and we're just awaiting in a couple of minutes to start with Jim Walsh, who's in the New York area. He's founder and CEO of ReloSolutionsGroup in the greater Syracuse, upstate New York. And so Jim Walsh and I have known each other a number of years. He's a relocation industry veteran, does specialty relocation services, and extremely well known in the industry. And looking forward to this brief conversation about today's business scene, the recovery from the pandemic and what's going on, and outlook for the fall. So stay tuned. Okay, here we are. I'm in San Diego, and Jim Walsh is in the Syracuse, New York area. Let's welcome Jim Walsh. First time on the program, I think. No, second time. Yeah, second time. You were on
long time ago, Ed.
Yeah, in a group setting about 2 years ago. One of the early shows. We launched this series of Global TV in March of 2020. So, this coming March will be 3 years. So, Jim Walsh, thanks for doing this. I know it's near the end of your busy season, but it's probably still pretty busy for you, isn't it?
It is, which is really great, Ed. It's a pleasure to be with you again. It's always great to chat with you.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so ReloSolutionsGroup isn't a relocation management company, but in a sense it is because it's so specialized, right? Why don't you tell us how special it is?
I like to believe it's pretty special, but I'm kind of biased, I must admit. But what we do is we help the moving industry in a variety of ways. I would say our core focus is the traditional crating and third-party service needs for military and corporate relocations primarily. So that means I have a network of suppliers throughout North America that serve as our service partners, and they show up at homes and they do things like measure artwork and then build crates right in the garage or in front of the house and pack them and leave them in for the movers to load on the truck. It seems like particularly with the COVID situation, a lot of gyms were closed and people bought a lot of fitness equipment. So there's always a lot of stuff to disassemble and reassemble. We do billiard tables, appliance disconnects and connects, and a lot of other stuff.
So why does it have to be disassembled?
So, the movers can't traditionally load stuff on trucks without, it being in the smallest manageable sections. So if you have a huge home gym that, weighs 1,000 pounds and has 2 stacks of weights, you really can't get it out of the house unless it's disassembled. And so we have crews in that digitally photograph it, take pre-existing condition reports, label everything, and so that 1 goes to 1, 2 goes to 2, etc., so that there is easy instruction for the destination provider to put stuff back together.
And so you guarantee that nothing's going to get screwed up.
Exactly. We take the liability.
So is that expensive?
Labor costs more, sure, but it's not very expensive. Traditionally, it's usually an hourly rate thing, and we've got a great crew that will show up at the home and take care of these things.
Oh, so it's manageable.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
especially if someone else is paying, I guess. But so not to belittle that, but for instance, this little gizmo here. Okay, it doesn't look like much, but it's precious. Mm-hmm. It's from It's from South Africa. Joanne got it for me, and so if we're going to move, we want to have this thing cradled in rubber or something, right? So nothing happens to it.
Yeah.
Right.
So absolutely, a lot of people have things that are sentimentally valuable to them or are intrinsically valuable. So. We do a lot of that where fairly heirlooms, whether it's furniture items or statuary or artwork, we're taking those things down, we're wrapping them and putting them in crates. And
Oh, is
so
there a risk of losing things in shipment? You know, today with so many things backlogged,
mhm,
um, the rail lines, I don't know about trucking, but the rail line, the port of LA is like gangbusters, and the
yeah,
trains come across, from the trucks take all the stuff out to the San Bernardino area, and
yeah.
then from there they go on trains across Arizona and across the country. And they're nonstop. These trains are huge. But you guys, for the most part, are truckers, right? You use the trucking industry. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say most of my clients are using would be traditional household good carriers with drivers, but more and more there is, they are using rail. So they're packing a container and throwing it on a train and sending it wherever it needs to be. So I would say the industry is becoming more and more of a hybrid between your traditional pack, load, and haul operations or short haul operations to now freight and crate, throw it on a rail line.
Yeah. So to what extent would you use Amazon for shipping?
You know what we use Amazon for a lot of times is if our service providers need parts and they need them quick. So, for instance, it might be a shipping kit for a washer. If it might be parts that that they can't find elsewhere and they need to get them. So that's really what I use Amazon for. My operations and claims personnel use Amazon for.
Oh, that's really interesting stuff. So, obviously, audience, you know that this is not rehearsed. We're just sort of winging it. A couple of guys having a conversation about the industry. So, Jim, our audience is pretty broad and it's long and wide and deep. But most of it's in the industry that we both know and love for many years. But
Yes.
we have a reach in China and India and Singapore and to what extent does your work take you international?
It's funny that right now we do U.S. and Canada, so a lot of work in both countries. In Canada, it's mainly around the major provinces, right? It's when you get 50 miles north of Saskatchewan, it becomes nobody goes there. But um, it's interesting. Just yesterday, we're doing more and more international RMCs and international moving or forwarders that are contacting us and having us do either the origin or the destination in North America. And one of them said to me, "Hey, you know what? Can you please allow provision for country codes? Can you provision for centimeters in your crate calculation?" So that's actually something we'll probably have in the next few days, just in an effort to be an easier, more friendly organization to do business with for all these international organizations that we're doing more and more work with.
Well, it makes sense. All you got to do is Google, 6 inches means what in centimeters, right?
Yeah, exactly. We just do a
Right.
conversion in our software. We have our own developers, so every morning my first meeting of the day is with our software development team. So yeah, we can get things done pretty quick.
Well, that's really interesting. Okay, so what's it look like for the fall season? Is it a continuation of the summer excess?
I sure hope so. I wish I had a crystal ball, Ed. I have it just actually last week when I saw things slowing down a little bit. I started making some calls to some of my clients and asked what they thought, yeah, it was kind of a mixed bag. I'd be really curious to see what you think and what what your listeners think. So maybe you could put that as a question. I think interest rates, while they're still traditionally low, I think it does hurt a lot of potential buyers for home ownership. And so I'm wondering whether the economy will cool very dramatically. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? But here in just San Diego metro area, um, the house average medium price, whatever, was like almost 900,000 about 60, 90 days ago. So the headline in today's morning paper is that price median average has declined into the 800,000, which
Yes.
is like a huge increase over just a year ago.
Yes.
So, I mean, nobody's crying right now. And actually, some people can get a more or less a bargain, if you will, if they can get qualified.
You just, what we don't know is, will it continue to go down, or has it stabilized and it's now a great time to buy? I wish I knew. I do own some investment properties, so I think about these sort of things. But I did read also that some of the markets that, I mean, most markets were booming, but some had some valuations that went through the roof. Boise, certainly, many areas of California, Nashville. Las Vegas, some of those markets were up, like 50% year over year. And I hear that all of a sudden those markets are hitting the skids a little bit.
So interesting, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
but people still have a choice of paying sky high rent. The rents are going crazy.
Yeah, they are.
And so, but a lot of people don't have a down payment, so they're not going to be a homeowner, but doesn't impact you, because
Right.
people who move out to a larger place because they're going to work remote, or they move from out of California to Phoenix or area, which is
Yes.
booming. I'm sure it's booming.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and southern Utah
Mm-hmm.
is just an extension above Vegas area.
Yeah.
And about 60, 90 minutes north is I think it's St. George or something, beautiful area.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the kinds of people that you employ. Are you looking to hire?
I'm always looking to hire the right kind of talent. So a mentor of mine told me a long time ago, always be hiring if you find the right person. So I have nothing posted at the moment, but if the right candidate comes along in any position, we'll probably find a role for them. But my team right now is, it's great in that we have many of my former employees from my last company that I sold to Serva. So I have a lot of people that have been doing this for 20, 30 years in the industry. And then I have a lot of new kind of younger people that are really making an impact on the organization. So my son Nicholas is 25 years old. He worked with me when he was in college for a couple of years, and I made sure 2 years. He had to wait 2 years out of college, working elsewhere, before I would allow him in the business. But he's been working with me a little over a year now. Doing great. His girlfriend, who is likely to be his fiance, I hope, Morgan, is now running our billing team. I have my sister Mary as one of my customer service managers. My brother John's been working with us in operations. So it's got a lot of family members. And my team, we're still a fairly small team. I think we have 15 employees or so, and they all feel like family to me.
That's really comforting, a nice story. So with that regard, I don't expect any secrets here, but
Yeah.
You're a people manager, particularly because of the family connections.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping the right attitude and not taking things for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even more. I would imagine that it's more important than ever to stress the customer experience drive for perfection, clean and safe, right? And making everything kosher, everything really good, above and beyond the minimum.
Yes.
And surely you can have that push because you're the leader, but I would think it's a drive to instill this gratitude idea and also delivering excellent customer service, and by example within your own group, because it's so close knit and intertwined with life.
Yeah. What I did.
You can emphasize the degree that if it's successful, if that catches on, that spirit,
Yes.
then that becomes the best marketing. You never have to spend a dime on advertising because everybody will feel that vibe and talk about it to their friends, and they'll tell two friends. And,
Yeah.
it's like a wildfire when that kind of thing happens.
We have something, and by the way, most everything I've learned is not something I created. I always say emulation is the highest form of flattery. So, people tell me about some of the things they do within their organizations, and I say, great job, let me do that. So I was in a group called Entrepreneurs Organization for a long time. And one of the things I learned is, the creation of an annual AOP, annual operating plan. And so what we do is we create one in the fall of every year for the next year. And every member of my organization is measured in some way. So whether you're in claims or customer service or sales or operations, they all have objections and measurements. And so monthly, we do, based on performance, we do an additional compensation schedule. And so the team all feels like that they're participating in our success. So that's really been helpful.
Jim, how do people get in touch with you? What's your website?
So it's ReloSolutionsGroup.com. Solutions with an S on the end, solutionsgroup.com. My email is jim@relosolutionsgroup.com. And my cell phone is 315-345-2866. You can always call me.
Yeah, okay. And they can find you under Jim Walsh on LinkedIn.
Yeah, Jim Walsh at LinkedIn, exactly.
Okay, so it's ReloSolutionsGroup.com.
Yes.
Yeah, great. And the specialty is the wrapping and packing and that kind of care. That's it, right?
Yeah, that's our core focus. But Ed, I'm blessed to say that we've been diversifying the company. We're doing much more final mile stuff. So we have maybe 55 of our service providers nationally in major markets that have warehouses. So we have the ability to receive through either our client partners or through our service partners skids of things, and then deliver it out and assemble and install. So we've been doing retail, hospitality installs. We've been doing a lot of final mile delivery and installations. We do some small shipments where we'll, pack and skid and throw something on a freight truck. So we've been diversifying the company, and that's really exciting to me.
Okay, just the lingo, industry lingo. So in English, to me and others who don't, who aren't in the trucking business and household goods management, what did you just say? What's final mile?
So final mile, so often these things are delivered from a big box. So somebody buys something on Walmart.com or Wayfair or one of the other large stores, and they need someone to deliver it out. So they do, generally those organizations deliver to a central receiving location, a logistics warehouse, and then there's other firms that kind of do that. They call it final mile, and so they'll receive it from that central distribution center and then deliver it to that office or residence locally. So that, what the reason is that freight trucks that are hauling all, they have stuff with skids, right? Now all of a sudden you need to break down skids and have 2 or 3 boxes, and then have that, small, you're coming into a small residential street where freight trucks can generally operate.
Got it. Well, it's very valuable. That's a real niche, if you will, a niche.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great service. Well, because like a big moving company, whether it's Allied or Atlas or that's too expensive for them to go do that and take people off something else and go do that. Whereas your specialty is that. That's great.
Absolutely. Yeah. The traditional moving and storage organization is set up for, their billing would be a van and 2 or 3 people at an hourly rate with a 4-hour minimum plus an hour travel minimum. So, you're probably looking at, for them to deliver something relatively small, is still like many hundreds of dollars. So,
Yeah.
$500, $600, $700 minimum. So it doesn't really make sense for them.
Yeah. And so you can do that for somewhat less.
Oh, a lot less.
Yeah, okay, that's good news. Well, Jim Walsh, thanks for being my guest today on globaltvtalkshow.com. And this program will go out in 24 hours or so or less to the world. And we'll stay on the Global TV network for 12 months. And I look forward to our next broadcast and then the subsequent one later. Think about coming on the show with one of your clients.
Love to.
Maybe one, maybe two. We want to keep it small so everyone gets a vibe.
Yes.
Okay,
Maybe add
connectivity.
one of our clients and maybe one of our service partners, because
I think that
really
would be great. So let's look at say 3 weeks from now or something. Okay,
Sure.
after Labor Day,
Sounds great.
and then we could do another one just before October 1, because after that it's really going to get crunch time for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so therefore we'll have the PR working for you into the busy fall season. All right.
Perfect.
Thank you, Jim Walsh, ReloSolutionsGroup.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
the best. Bye.